Shalom. Call halal Yahweh Bahasham Yahushai Bahasham Karkadash. Double honors unto the apostles, double honors unto the elder bishops. Salutations to all my fellow laborers doing this work in truth and sincerity, risking their lives and their freedom to do so now more so than ever. The 144,000 and the scattered elect that are scattered around the four corners of the earth among the heathen nations that look like those heathen nations. And to the few Akwath that are listening and learning, to you I say Shalom. This is your brother Malcolm from the branch of the Great Millstone here in Chicago, coming at you with another lesson in truth. And as you can see on the screen, it's not looking so good. You know, it's being the day after Christmas, and it's just video after video of people complaining about Christmas and how they hate it and it doesn't feel like it anymore. First video, the title says, inflation is like the Grinch that stole Christmas. People are renting Christmas trees. Wow, that one's it says holiday shopping versus inflation. And what's this next one say? How inflation stole Christmas, common gifts increase in the price of the holiday season. So what's happened here is that the mirth is disappearing. All right, and the curses are now falling upon Babylon. And all the changes that were made, all the lies, and I'm explaining what I mean by that, are coming to be exposed in the light. As a matter of fact, let me grab Luke. Twelve and 2. And it reads, "For there is nothing covered that shall not be hid." Salakia. "For there is nothing covered that shall not be revealed, neither hid that shall not be known." All right, so all these lies, all these changes in histories, the changing of the meaning of words, you know, to fit the narrative, to elevate so-called what the world refers to as white superiority, all of it's coming to naught. All right, and the curses and the evil that the race of Edom perpetrated unto the mainly the Israelites, all people of color, but mainly to the children of Israel. It's the, what's that saying in the world? The chickens are coming home to roost, or whatever the hell that's supposed to mean. I know it's supposed to mean something bad. You know, hopefully maybe I'll just do the research and find out where that saying comes from, what it actually means. But typically, you know, it's used when someone's trying to say that, you know, you're going to get what you deserve. You're going to reap what you sow. So let's just get a scripture, because nothing talks better than the scriptures, or speaks clearer than the scriptures. So let's go to the book of Colossians 3 and 25. And it reads, "But he that doeth wrong shall receive for the wrong which he have done, and there is no respect of persons." So, you know, you see how these people have lived deliciously and did so much wrong, and, you know, and it's like, damn, they die rich and pass it to their children, and then they pass it to their children. And it's like, when are they going to pay? Well, now is the time. Look at what's happening now. And, you know, the truth about their character, which they've tried to bury, you know, it's all coming out. Okay? And 1920 is a pivotal year. And it's funny when you think about 1920, if you change those numbers around, 1920, that also means 2019. And what other changes happened in 2019? All right? Facts were buried and lies were propagated. So I don't think it's by mistake that they chose 2019, especially understanding what happened in 1920 when Rockefeller basically bought up everything. And one of the main things he did was he had the history changed. The dictionaries, they started whitewashing history and changing history. They started hiding facts, scientific facts, health things that doctors have been using for generations, for hundreds of years, in the West that were actually healing and curing people. Natural herbs and medicines that actually healed and cured people. They wanted to push the new world thing, this new industrial age thing, with the, what do you call it, with the medicine that was that petrol-based, oil-based medicines, which in the 1930s people started getting cancer left and right in the West like never before. And then of course someone had all the medical information covered up. And when you own the media, they're not going to put on there what you don't want them to put on there. And nothing has changed. So let me provide a little bit of evidence to back up what I'm saying. Let's go to let's put this book up. And why is this old used book almost $200? Well, there's a reason for that. But thankfully, I'm holding one in my hand, the very same book. I have two copies. I have this one and the 1933. And at this time, these books, they hadn't gotten to all the books left yet. And as a matter of fact, probably the most popular and used, well-known dictionary in America is Webster's, right? And they, and I think that was the one that they went off after first. And this one kind of went by the wayside, which is why words and definitions in here that was very condemning to white superiority still remained. And of course, you can't find books like this anymore. Well, you won't find books like this on the shelf. And then a lot of the definitions that are in this book have been completely revised and removed. All right. And I'm going to give you a perfect example, okay, of one of those said things. But first, I'm going to play a video that's really going to help set the stage for the point that I'm about to prove. Okay. So hold on. I want to just put something in here to hold these pages that I have. So I got these pages. Oh, lost one. God dog it. And call hello, y'all. Shy. Turn right to it. There's the second one. So now that I got those marked, let me close the door. Big boy Rockford like to get all in the middle of everything. Doing a workout video, there he is. Doing a lesson, there he is. All right, but here, there's a TikTok video called "What Year Did Everything Change?" All right, so here we go. Let me make sure this is nice and loud and.
What year did everything change forever?
1920 is when everything pretty much changed. They started changing every single thing. They started removing certain parts of the history. They started rewriting the history. 1920s, it's about that time. Educational system started changing everything. Rockefeller educational system. So if you find books, you want to find books before 1920s. Because if you don't find books before 1920s, you're usually being told a bunch of nonsense. And you look at a lot of the free energy books too, and everything related to the ether. That's before 1920s. Ether was removed from the periodic table after 1908. Every book you look into talks about ether and terrestrial magnetism and all of these things. 1908, that was removed off the periodic table.
You were able to get free electricity and power from these sources. All right. Just remember, Nikola Tesla, and I'll continue this video, wanted to power cities for free. There really is no need to charge people. But, they can't just give you something for free. They got to charge you for it. And that's a huge revenue of income to the elite, is charging people for power and electricity. But remember, it actually, you would think this will make people mad and make them raise up and act up. But Americans really are kind of gullible and stupid. They'll as long as they can receive a couple goodies and some things to, pastimes. That's what football, baseball, and basketball and all that stuff for. It's, They just kind of bend over and take it as long as you can provide them with entertainment. But I digress.
That was removed so that people would not believe in the ether. They would think it's woo-woo. They would think it's pseudoscience. Those are all
Now, isn't it funny that the people who uses pseudoscience, you know, uh, created the term to discredit true science? And we'll get a scripture to back that up too before we go on, but I digress.
The truth and debunk what we were once connected to. Then when you get rid of ether, you get rid of everything related to the fifth element and the quantum. You get rid of all of that. And then you make up a whole new narrative and you remove all that so that when you can't explain something, you just say, I don't know what it is.
What year did...
Well, there it is, man. All right. So, and that's with everything. All right. When it comes down to races and people and ethnicities and words and meaning of the words, power, medicine, 1920 is a pivotal year. And then you got to remember to reverse those numbers, 2019, what happened? You know, I don't think it's a coincidence at all. There's no coincidences when you're dealing with Esau, Edom. All right. But let me grab a scripture and then I'm going to go into this dictionary and give a perfect example of what I'm talking about just to prove it. But this is and this is why Timothy warned us of these things. All right. There will be a people that come around and disregard true science and use pseudoscience as a weapon against the people. All right, and to try to get around what's written in the Holy Scriptures. So that's 1 Timothy 6:20, I believe, and correct. O Timothy, keep that which is committed to thy trust, avoiding profane and vain babblings and oppositions of science, falsely so called. Because remember, the word science simply means to know. That's what it means. It means to know. So when you don't know something and you're guessing, then that's not really, well, you're going by theory or thesis. That's not fact. That's not proven. So that's not true science because you don't know. All right? You're just assuming something. All right? That if you did this and add this, well, you should get this result. All right? But if you got to throw well, you should, then, you should know. You have to know what you're going to get at the end of your equation every time. That's what science is. If you don't know, then that's not true science. All right? But let's give you another example because, you start talking about science too much, they'll try to give me a copyright strike. So here's the word crisp. We'll start with two words, crisp and wool. So let me turn the light on. And it says crisp, wavy, curled, brittle. All right? Cheerful, now remember that, curled and brittle. Cheerful, terse, sparkling, to curl, ripple, to make brittle, to form into little curls along an edge, to become brittle. Crispiness. All right? Now let's go to the definition of wool. All right? And I want you to keep in consideration when the scripture says, and his hair was like wool. All right? And it says, wool, the soft, fine, curly hair which covers sheep, goats, etc. Anything soft and downy like wool. Thick, crispy, curly hair as of a Negro. And in 1933, the definition is very near the same. All right? And then how the Lord was always, compared to a sheep with hair like wool. So let's go to the scripture and read it. Matter of fact, let's read 2. So they had to change and cover everything. This is Daniel 7 and 9. What do I want? 10 and 5. Oh, 7 and 9 is good. This is Daniel 7 and 9, and it reads, I beheld till the thrones were cast down, meaning all the thrones of the world. And then the Lord came down, was setting up the kingdom of heaven. All right. And it said, and the Ancient of Days did sit, whose garment was white as snow, and the hair of his head was like the pure wool. Well, we just read the definition. Well, wool in all the old dictionaries prior to the 1920, all right, and this one even 1925, even as late as the 1930s, let you know that woolly hair was hair like a Negro. But all of a sudden, wool doesn't mean that anymore, and that's just it. Whenever, these people are continually and constantly moving the goalposts. When you prove a fact, when you prove a truth, they simply change it. Hence the reason why this old used book that's 100 years old, all right? This is 103 years old now, this book. 1925. So no, it's not. It's almost 100 years old, all right? I was thinking of 1920. But, yeah, you got almost a 100-year-old book they want almost $200 for US dollars. Why is that? Because there's other truths in here that there's a lot of biblical references in this book that would show you that theologian schools they lie because they're a part of that change. All right. But once again, I beheld till the thrones were cast down, and the Ancient of Days did sit, whose garment was white as snow. So snow, you referring to something being white like snow, that still means the same. But all of a sudden, woolly hair doesn't mean woolly hair. Well, that's not what it. Then they try to show you, other curly haired people, and oh boy, it says, and the head of his hairs was like the pure wool. His throne was like the fiery flame, and his wheels as a burning fire. And there's another scripture where it clearly says his arms and his feet, all right, were likewise, or like the burnished bronze, all right, were like in color, all right. So you can't get around that. Matter of fact, let's go ahead and go to Revelation. And it tells you that his feet was like they had burned in the furnace. Anything you burn in the furnace is going to turn very, very dark. All right. And I even heard someone say, well, he was walking in the mud and the dirt. That's why his feet were dark. Like, oh man, he's revealed in heaven, but he's walking in the, in the mud and dirt. Boy, these people are something. All right. But this is Revelation 1 and 13. In the midst of the 7 candlesticks, not 9, like the imposters are displaying now for their Hanukkah season. In the midst of 7 candlesticks, one like unto the Son of Man, clothed with a garment down to the foot, girded about the paps with a golden girdle. So he wore a garment that went all the way down to his feet. And he had on like a war belt, like the boxers and the wrestlers and the UFC fighters wear. All right. And it says, and his head and his hairs were white like wool. So let's read that definition again. Let's find it. We read crispy, but let's go to wool again. Let's read it again. And call it even the page. So anyone wants to do their research. And that's the book that I'm reading from that you see on the screen. This is it's page 723. All right. Page 723. And it reads, wool, the soft, fine, curly hair which covers sheep, goats, etc. Anything soft, downy like wool. Thick, crispy, curly, as of a Negro. Right? Yep. Or it even has the word woolen as an adjective of wool. So you have woolen hair. So you can't get around this unless you just outright lie. All right, with these people, facts are not facts. Left is not left, right is not right, up is not up, down is not down. All right, but whatever they say it is. So with that, we want to give all praises, all honor and glory unto Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahushai, Bahasham, Rakakwadash, Wa, Ababa, Kwam Yasharala.